It's mailbag time. It's also bedtime. 10:41. I'm tired. I'm tired tonight. 10:41 p.m. My eyes are so heavy. I can't even read what's on the white magnets on Dan's white fridge. I'm just never going to be able to.
So the white magnets, here's what I'm trying to do. Oh, I see. You're playing a joke on me. You can see them better now, right? I put some Sharpie over them.
Yes,
can you see them?
You colored your magnets?
Yes. The whole point of these. Okay. I idiotically bought these golf ball magnets, not really realizing at the time, I thought they were an off-white color. They ended up being a pure white. And so the whole point of them was to put the Giants record up as it goes throughout the season. 0-0, as you can see back there. I hope.
Jamey's exhausted. Jamey's already cracking up.
This is podcast number 3 for me today on FFT as well. So this could be an off-the-rails show, a late night bag.
This is Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Today, we're going to give you auction tips to win your.
Wait, that's supposed to be 0-0.
How do you win your auction?
It's a 0. You can see it.
We're also going to tell you about another way to get in the podcast league and read your draftathon questions, your emails at fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, your Apple Podcast questions, your fantasy cops.
Oh, we got a cops bag. We've been waiting.
Yeah, it's been a little while. And your YouTube comments as well. All right. Jamey, come on, man. It's not that funny. Come on. You gotta make him up his game. All right, here we go. Oh, no news and notes because it's Thursday night, Jackson Dart injury and all that. But we're going to cover all that on the Friday morning show, which if you're listening, you've already heard that. But so this is
one injury
with the Steelers.
Jalen Wright.
Oh,
Jalen. Yes.
What happened with Jalen Wright? Oh, Jalen Wright.
Practice.
Yes.
Didn't you read that story that they wrote?
For some reason you confused me because you said the Steelers, then you said Jalen, and my mind went to Jalen Moore. It's at that time of the day. I was like, what happened to Jalen Moore? No, right, Jalen Wright. Yeah.
Again, we'll cover it on Friday's show, and then it'll be weird and
Scoop Ollie Gordon at the end of your drafts. That's what you need.
Okay, thank you. All right. Auction tips to win your league. So, Dan, go ahead, fire away. First of all, if you've never done an auction, they're the best. They're super fun. You get a fake budget, usually $100 or $200. And then someone nominates a player and everyone can bid on that player. This is not a snake draft where you're not able to draft certain guys because they're not available. Everyone is available for you. You have your budget. So we love them. They're super fun. They do take a long time, but if you've never tried one, we encourage you to do it. We're going to tell you how to win right now. Dan, give me your first tip.
The number one most important thing you can do in preparation for your auction drafts is to map out the values of your draft. Now, this is something that you're going to need to do in year 2 of your auction drafts. You can use default values for year 1. They'll be close, they'll be decent. But once you get into a 2nd and 3rd, 4th year of your auction drafts, and it will happen like that, the minute your league goes to auction, it won't ever go back. It's a 10 times fun more format. And maybe I'm underselling it, more like 1,000 times more fun. These numbers are all fun for Fugazi anyway. But point being, use the values from last draft. So your top running back values, go down the list, 50, 48, 49, then match that with ADP of this current draft, and then go down the list of your rankings or your tiers, whoever you are using. Jamey has updated tiers on our site. You can use those and match the dollar amounts to the ADP of those players going for this year. After you do that for every single player at every single position, you will have an idea of how to build your auction team out. You have a $200 budget. You now see the range. Oh, tier 4 receivers. I like a lot of tier 4 receivers. I can get them for $11, $12. And now you can pencil that into your wide receiver 3 and your flex 1. You start to map out your draft like that, understanding where the value is. So you want Brian Thomas on this team. You want Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. You want to go strong 1-2 at receiver. You're spending 35, 38. You know that based on last year's prices in the auction and the ADP of these players. It may be a few dollars off here or there. And when that price starts to go up, you bow out and you go to the next guy in that tier. But you really need to have an idea, in my opinion, of how to map out your auction from a value standpoint. If you just go in willy-nilly with your budget and just say, I'm just going to draft players, you'll end up, a lot of times I see people do that, end up either 1, with leftover money at the end, which is the worst possible thing you can do in an auction, Or two, they don't buy any players early. They're just waiting and waiting for value. And they end up getting a ton of guys in tiers 4, 5, 6. And their team has a ton of depth, but it doesn't have the star power up top to ever compete in the league in spite of the depth. So you really need to understand the auction and understand where the values ride at all these positions and then map it out. Like, let's say you know that I can get tier 1 or tier 2 running backs in the 35 to 40 range. You pencil it into your roster. You've spent that 20% of your budget there, and you can do that for each position.
I think just a couple things. It's great advice, knowing the history of your league. It's the same with snake drafts too. You're going to know when fantasy managers are going to jump in, but clearly this is a great way to map out your auction. If you're doing it for the first time, you can do mock auctions. We have it on our site. Almost every site, I think at this point, offers it. So practice it and you'll get somewhat of a same understanding from a player value standpoint. You won't get the player value of your league because there's no history of doing it yet, especially if it's a first time salary cap league or a, same group of people switching to it. But that's, great advice that Dan is giving you to sort of, attach some sort of salary history or salary range to those guys, aside from what you're just reading on a rank list, because our rank lists have salary cap values, but it may not be the same in your league. The one thing, though, that I do think you have to decide beforehand, on top of what you're saying, is, do you want to get high-end talent and spend a portion of your budget that way? And so Dan is going to reference our auction, our salary cap draft that we did yesterday, I think, from the most recent thing. I think I'm the only one that was in there, right? You both did not participate?
I didn't.
Unfortunately, I was recording an episode.
So I did something different for me, which sort of falls in line with what I'm saying. I decided, usually, Adam, I kind of adhere to what Dan was saying. Like, I like to have a lot of depth, but I don't typically take a lot of high-end talent. So I really usually don't end up with a first-round pick. I decided I wanted to see what it would be like if I did it the other way, and I ended up with 2 first-round picks. So I have both CeeDee Lamb and Ashton Genty. And I got those 2 players purposely. I wanted one of my top 5 receivers and one of my top 7 running backs. So I was going to be aggressive. But I think part of it is you also have to play the nomination process too.
Yes.
Because it doesn't go first nomination, Jamar Chase, second nomination, Bijan Robinson. It doesn't go like what a rank list looks like. So you almost want to let people spend money early. And then this goes back to what Dan was talking about with the tiers. What part of the tier do you want to jump in on that particular position group? And you may not have to do it right away. So I think, just to harp on what Dan said, like, put a portion in your head of what money you want to spend on a certain tier. It's so important. So if you want to come away with, I want 2 running backs and then I want 5 receivers in the blob.
Right.
Then that's then commit to it. I want to get 2 high-end receivers and 3 running backs from that rounds 3 through 6 range. And I'm good with it. Maybe there's a value that jumps out that changes things, but like, you have to sort of commit to things before the draft, not players.
Yes.
But almost where you want to spend your money. It's so important to have an idea about that going into it and not just going blindly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. I completely agree. Yep.
10-team leagues, you can spend more on the studs.
Yeah.
Deeper the league, you might want to try to be more balanced. I did a 12-team auction last year, which had shallow rosters. Actually, I think we had 2 flexes, so not that shallow. But I spent big on 3 players, and it didn't work out. I don't think I'm going to do that. Spending
the
big
high variance route, yeah.
Yeah, spending big on 2 players, I'm much more interested in. Spending big on 3. I thought I could kind of get away with a studs and duds approach. It didn't work out in a 12-team league. Jamey, can you tell us the rest of your team? So you had Lamb and Genty, and I'm guessing you did a $100 budget. Now, Dan talked about $200 budget. That might be a little bit more standard. If you see our rankings on the website, cbsports.com/fantasy/football, you will, as Jamey mentioned, you will see the dollar amounts next to the names, but those are based on $100 budgets. So double it if you're in a $200 budget, unless it's like a $1 player. That might still just be a $1 player. While you look up that team name, I'm just going to throw out a few other things here. Jamey does this really, really well. If there's a kicker you like, if there's a DST you like, throw them out as your first nomination. It kind of goes in order. Everybody, there's 12 people in a league, each get a turn to nominate, and then, goes over and over. But throw out the kicker and see if anybody's willing to bid $2, and because probably shouldn't. Maybe on Aubrey for me, but probably not. And
no.
And it's just let them have it if they bid more than you're willing. But you might get the kicker you want. You might get the DST you want for $1 really early.
It's a win-win. It really is the one rare easy win-win in your draft. Either you get that defense or kicker that's good for $1, the minimum price, or you force someone to spend $2 on that position, which is always a bad move.
And I will say this, because a lot of people are doing this. So Dave, the way he set it up, there were no kicker or defense.
Right.
So what I did with this similar strategy, I wanted to see how low can I go with a certain quarterback. So I put Drake May up for bid very early for $2, and I got him for $2. If somebody took him for $3, which is more than I have him as a $2 player. If somebody were taking for $3, great. I made somebody spend $1 than I think more than I think he's worth. So I got him for $2 late. So that was just something. Okay, now my quarterback's out of the way. I ended up getting Kyler Murray for $2 as well. So for $4, I have Kyler Murray and Drake May. I love that. You know, I probably could have gotten one of those for maybe $1 if I had waited even a little longer. But $3-4 for two quarterbacks, if you're going with the late strategy, clearly you're not going to do that with the early quarterbacks. So if you like to draft late quarterbacks, put the other quarterbacks up early. Lamar Jackson, Josh, let people spend $10, $15 on those guys, and now you're killing somebody else's budget. A big strategy for me is make people waste money.
Not waste money. Not waste money, but make them spend.
Okay, spend money.
I mean, we're not saying they're doing the wrong
I'll
thing.
rephrase it. Put players that you don't want up for bid as much as possible to make them waste money you will not spend.
Yes, exactly. And that was one of Dan's tips. Nominate players on your avoid list and positions and tiers you've already spent in. So basically, nominate players that you're not going to spend money on. Let somebody else, let money come off the board.
There are ways to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So Jamey, you have your team?
Yep.
Okay, so 12 team PP. Give me everything we need to know.
Quarterbacks are Drake May and Kyler Murray. Running backs are Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton. Receivers are CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. It is a 2-receiver, 2-flex league. Tight end is Tucker Kraft. Right now, my 2 flexes would be Chris Olave and Jalen Warren. On the bench, I have Zach Charbonnet, Trey Benson, and Najee Harris, and Darnell Mooney and Luther Burden.
Oh, that's a really interesting team. It's like you don't have an elite quarterback, you don't have an elite tight end, although I think Kyler and Drake may have that potential. But on paper, you don't have that, right? But man, you've got really good high-end talent. You got CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty, Tyreek Hill, and Omarion Hampton. So you have, in my opinion, 4 top 30 players, certainly 4 top 36 players. It's like having an extra pick in the first 3 rounds. Your benches, your flexes are not great. Olave and Jalen Warren. Taking Charbonnet, putting him on your bench. That's
I would argue that they're fine in a 12-team league. They're not
great, but fine. Yeah, absolutely. So do you like this team?
I mean, for the way that the league is structured, absolutely. So it's funny because I read Dan's. So Dan did the recap of Dave's information, and Dan just took a broad view of the league and giving you auction strategies and his evaluation of, which is interesting because he didn't take part in it. And he had Tyreek as one of the better values, which I agree. But I took him somewhat early, and I hated it as I'm watching it unfold. Now, again, the bigger picture view of getting 4 players in the first, 4 of the top 36, 30 players, whatever the case may be, you have to love that if you value Tyreek Hill there, which I do. But when I saw that $11 could have potentially turned into, and I don't know how it went this way, but like Ricky Pearsall and Emeka Egbuka, for example, or maybe that's like that 11 becomes $14, and I get those 2 players versus the one, and now I have another player in a flex. So for me, the way I do most of my auctions or salary caps, like I like to do that a little bit more. But the top 2 running backs, top 2 wide receivers, I feel like I can compete with anybody if those guys help.
I feel like I'm in an Inception or something with Jamey talking on the left. You see that's at the left box, then Jamey was in the right box on the actual article, giving some analysis. That is a good point, Jamey. And I think that's something you can't really predict, because a lot of the times those players like Egbuka, I don't know when he came off in this auction. I was hoping that I would get a nomination order because that helps me kind of understand the auction better. But depending on where he came off on the board, there's a lot of times people are sitting on that one player. So you think like, oh, you're looking at your tiers and your rankings, and you're like, I have this money saved. Egbuka's still on the board. This is awesome. Nobody. And then you get to that bid and bang, everyone's just bang, bang, bang. It's a bidding war. And you've now either paid a bad price for him or you've had to bow out of that bid with no real backup plan. So to me, it's really important.
Egbuka went for 6.
I meant just when he was nominated.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say based on that. This is also, remember, $100 auction, so this would have been $212, something in that range. But the spending and the nominating is really important to me because it's very nuanced. I believe that when a tier 1 player is nominated early, as in the first nomination or the second nomination, 80, this is a raw number that's guessing in my mind, but 80% of the time I feel like, and I've done hundreds of auctions, that's going to be one of the best values in the draft. Neighbors comes off the board first. He goes for 40, and then you see Nico 45 and player BTJ 44. But when those tier 5, 6 type players, like Buka maybe is one of them, or like a Godwin or something like that, come off the board and are nominated early, those tend to be the most overpriced, worst values of the draft because people still aren't used to what they should be spending on that tier. And there's a lot of money still left for everyone. So I always see those early bids when it's a buzzy player, like if somebody puts RJ Harvey in early or something like that, end up being some of the worst values. Because what people don't realize about auctions is no matter how you plan it, and even if you go in planning to budget yourself out and save money, everybody spends their budget earlier than they want to. Most people do. And there is going to come a point, an inflection point in that auction where the money just falls off a cliff. And there are so many values to be had. So a lot of times when those early tier 5, 6 players are nominated, they end up being bad value because when you finally get down to their tier, the 3 or 4 other guys, nobody has more than $3 or $4 to spend on those guys.
Yeah. And that's why if I like RJ Harvey, for example, and I want RJ Harvey, I'm not nominating him with my first nomination.
Right.
I want some money off the board before I do that. All right. So just let me just tell you this. We got a great offer for you. It's BetMGM. All right. Now's the time. You want to place a bet on a game? This is what you should do. Download the BetMGM app. Use the bonus code FANTASY. You're going to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. You just deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. With the bonus code FANTASY, you're going to receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code FANTASY when you sign up. When we come back, you want to be in the podcast leagues? I'm going to tell you how. I already told you on Friday's show, which we're recording, on Friday. But if you're listening, that will be yesterday. If you're watching, that'll be tomorrow. Whatever. We'll be right back. I'll tell you all about the podcast leagues after this. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So if you go to tinyurl.com/2025FFT, tinyurl.com/2025FFT, click on View Auction House. We've got 2 more podcast league spots available. They expire. The bidding expires on Sunday. The draft is Monday night. Okay. I think that's the 25th, whatever it is, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
This is the league, the match, that same league?
No.
Different league.
This is the podcast league. That's the FFT league.
Okay.
This is the podcast league, which has been going on since I think 2012. Maybe
the one
15?
I'm not invited to for some reason.
Exactly. So we've got 2 spots available, picking 7th or picking 3rd. You can bid on those right now. And also, if you want to be in the leftovers league, I think I've got about 7 or 8 spots available there. Just send an email to fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. Put leftovers league in the subject line, and I'll pick some people at random. I'm actually going on vacation this weekend. So
where?
I'm going to the Hamptons for the first time in my life, going to West Hampton for 2 nights.
Wow, look at you.
I've never been to the Hamptons. Are you playing any tennis out there?
I don't think so.
Not enough. You don't have a team, anybody to play with?
No, just going with my family. So
Okay.
couple days at the beach. And I don't think I'm going to have time to really go through your entries, but you want to be in it, you can write something, you can sing something, whatever the heck you want. I'd appreciate it. Whatever you want to be creative. Leftovers League in the subject line. The email address is fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. That is the letter I. That is a 10-team Superflex league. Heath and I share a team, and the other 9 teams are listeners. All right. Also, our Draftathon show is next Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. So we are super excited about that. I've already lined up a bunch of guests. It's going to be a lot of fun. 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, next Wednesday, Draftathon show, rock and roll. Okay. All right. So far, map out the values of your draft. Dan kind of explained that if you want to go back and listen, but have an idea of what you want to spend on a specific tier of players before you go in. nominate players that you don't want, get that money off the board. Jamey gave you his team with kind of, I don't want to call it studs and duds, but a little top heavy with 2 first-round picks and 2, I guess we'll call them third-round picks in Tyreek Hill and Omari and Hampton. So Lamb, Genty, Hampton, Tyreek Hill. Built out a very good team that way in a 12-team league with 2 flexes. The shallower the league, maybe the more aggressive you want to be with studs and duds. I personally think that in auctions, I am more likely to take Jamey's approach, spending $4 out of 100, so 4% of my budget on Kyler Murray and Drake May or some combination like that. Quarterback is not a position I value as much because if I spend very little on them, I can get good quarterback for $1 or $2 or 2% of my budget. This frees me up to take 2 first-round studs, just like Jamey did. So that's my personal philosophy. I also think, Dan, you touched on it. I think the best values in drafts are like the rounds 5 through 8 picks. They're not sexy. This is going to be the Jameson Williams and the Jerry Judys and the Jalen Waddles and the RJ Harveys and the DeAndre Swifts of the world. They usually don't get nominated early in the draft for whatever reason. They just always seem to be great values to me in auctions.
Swift went for like $5. Pollard went for like $6.
Yeah,
exactly.
Echo went for like $6.
Money always falls off at some point in an auction, and you want to be there to capitalize on it. But I don't say all those names. Like an RJ Harvey type Adam, I would imagine he just gets overbid, and you end up spending like
right.
It's like Travion Henderson. You can't really get in auctions these guys because that's the whole point of an auction. You can get who you want. If you love Henderson or you love Harvey, you just get in a bidding war. And you don't want to be the one winning that bidding war because auctions to me are all about value, maximizing value with every single dollar you spend.
Okay. Well, I was just giving an example of that 80.
Go ahead. Real quick on what Dan said. Like, if you don't love the buzzworthy guys, avoid them because they're going to be expensive. Unless they're later in the, like Ibuka for 6 is a little surprising. I thought he went for more.
All right, Dan, go ahead and give me 2 more tips, and we'll start getting into the emails.
Yep. So another tip is, and you touched on this a little bit at the quarterback position. I actually think there's 2 ways to play quarterback. One way is the way you described. And under that way, what I really want people to focus on, and this is very important for an auction draft, is if you're in a 1 quarterback league, wait till 11 quarterbacks come off the board before you buy your quarterback. You may say, oh, I want Kyler Murray at $2 or $3 or Drake May. I guarantee you that if you just wait till teams have filled their starting quarterbacks in 1 QB league, you're getting that guy for $1 or $2. No one at that point wants to spend money because it'll be mid-draft and no one wants to spend that extra money on a backup quarterback. Same goes for Superflex. If you're in a 10-team league, understand that 20 are off the board and you can capitalize on that value for those quarterbacks. If you agree with me that there's not much of a drop-off between that final, ADP quarterback at 1 and ADP quarterback 2 for the super flex. That's one way. The other way, though, is like looking at the auction you guys did, Jamey, you and Dave. I don't know, man. Like I sometimes think in these, it is actually incredibly valuable to buy the tier 1 elite quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, because they're going so cheap. No one wants to spend. Everyone's in the same boat here. It feels like we're all, I don't want to spend on a quarterback, right? We're all.
Yeah, but that's not going to be typical, I think, of your average Joe fantasy league, right?
I don't know, though. I don't know. I think more and more leagues that play auction, at least, are kind of feeling. I mean, the default way to feel is, why would I not just wait at quarterback and get it for $2?
Can I just combine those 2? Because I think they work. Because again, it's not, you're not nominating Jackson, then Allen, then Daniels, then Burrow. It's, I nominated Drake May maybe as the first quarterback, and then it was Dak Prescott, and then it was Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. So to your point, Dan, like if you see that the quarterbacks are starting to go, but it may be the first 5 are probably, I think you got to separate those. So if you want an elite quarterback, you're probably going to have to spend. One of the top 5 guys probably going to spend. But if you don't have much difference between Mahomes and Baker and Nix and Dak and Love and Purdy and all these guys, you can then just let exactly what Dan said, like let everybody else start to spend $4, $5, $3, and you may get the guy you really want for $1.
Right.
Question, Jamey. So let's say we think that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson should be going in a draft around the same time as Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. How much did you pay for Tyreek Hill out of $100?
It's the same price. He paid 11 and those guys went for 10 or 11. But do you think that I would have Josh Allen over Tyreek Hill?
I think they're about the same.
Okay, that may be fair, but you also have on the flip side running backs Kenneth Watt. Like I'm looking at the auction results right now, just to get an idea of if I agree, if I still believe it. I do kind of believe in this because like we're talking about Alvin Kamara for $12, Breece Hall for $13, Chuba Hubbard, Trevion Henderson, like James Conner. This is $10. Am I going to feel better about CJ Stroud at 1 or Kyler Murray at 2 and then missing out on those running backs? I don't know.
I think this is where the skill of being in a salary cap draft is of when do you put yourself in on that player and at what price point do you take yourself out on that player? Because what ends up happening is I don't have a running back that I feel comfortable with. So now I'm overspending for Breece Hall because he's probably the 30th running back on the, but I'm not saying him, but Kamara or whoever the case may be. And so now you're forced to spend more because you feel like you're getting left out if he's the last guy in your tier. And so I think the difference with the quarterbacks is typically you're going to see the top 5 guys get bid up early. So at what point do you want to commit to spending on those particular players? And that's what you have to sort of go into with in the beginning. Like if you say, I'm going to go 10% on my number 1 quarterback. So $20 and $200 budget, $10 and, and so maybe it's $1 over or $1 less. Then you did your job, right? I got Joe Burrow for $10. I'm cool with that. So Dak may go for $1 and Dak may be close to, or Mayfield may go for $2 and he may end up being close to, Joe Burrow as the season plays itself out. But I know I committed that and I'm fine with it. And I know I'm not going to get Tyreek Hill now. I'm going to have to settle for potentially Calvin Ridley, which you may be fine with. And that's okay. But you just have to understand what you're going for prior to the draft. Because you said something at the start of this. Whenever these drafts start, everybody's amped up. Everybody's amped up. It's not like a snake draft where you're waiting for your pick. You have the ability. You see, man, I really want a Emeka Egbuka, and then there's somebody that just goes, you know what? Let's just start it right from the beginning. Let's light the fire right now. I'm going to put the most buzzworthy player up for bid. Trevion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, Marion Hampton. I was surprised I got him for $4, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's an insane value.
I'm going to put the most buzzworthy player up right away and let everybody spend their money and drive up the cost. And to be honest, like that's what I would do.
Okay.
Keep throwing those buzzworthy players out there and let people spend their money. So to the quarterbacks, people get excited about those top 5 guys. And if you put them up early, you're probably going to get them off the board for more money than you're willing to spend, unless, of course, you're one of those managers.
All right. There's the other angle, though, right, is that let's say Josh Allen goes for 11% of the budget, right? I mean, this is the only position really where the guy who's going for $1, has a potential to be not as good as Josh Allen, but really, really good. And you're talking about someone who's going like for 11 times as much as that player. Whereas if Tyreek Hill's going for $11, well, who's a $1 wide receiver? It's not going to be someone I think who like Drake May
Right. That's it. It's the same in a snake draft.
But those elite quarterbacks have proven to be the easiest wins, at least according to Ryan Heath's data. They've proven to be the easiest way to locate a league winner over the last 2 or 3 seasons. They're scoring a lot more. It seems on paper like, I can get Drake May for $2. It seems great. The drop off isn't there, but I don't know ultimately. Like those guys are elite quarterbacks. They're going to score at elite rates. Tyreek Hill is not a guarantee to score at any kind of elite rate.
We see one.
It's fine.
Almost on average, we see one elite quarterback emerge from nowhere.
Right.
In some cases, like last year, we saw 3, essentially. We saw Daniels.
Yeah.
We saw Goff.
And Baker.
We saw Mayfield. Okay. And they all were pick 100 or later.
Yeah.
And Burrow was wildly
from
his ADP too. No, he wasn't 100.
His ADP was lower than what his production was by a lot.
By a lot. But also, I got to point this out. Like Josh Allen is not scoring as many points as he used to. He is not scoring as many points as he did in the Stephon Diggs era when he was throwing a lot.
You're going on a 1-year sample size.
He's running it.
No, 2-year sample size. Sorry, because he's not throwing when Diggs was good. That 3-year stretch when Diggs was like all pro. You're talking about 28 or more points per game. Last year, I mean, it's a little skewed because it's very skewed because he played 1 snap in week 18. But even without that, he's not like they don't run enough plays. They're way too run heavy now. They don't throw as much. He's not throwing 35 touchdowns anymore. His passing yards per game, he's still great. But like Lamar Jackson was that guy last year. It wasn't really Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen wasn't as good as he usually was.
So 2 questions. I guess the thing would be if you're taking Allen or spending that much money on Allen, you're kind of understanding that his floor is probably better than a lot of players.
Oh yeah.
So that's part of it.
He's my QB1. All that
Yeah, that's
stuff.
what I'm saying. I'm surprised he's your QB1. The next question. I'm surprised he's your QB1 over Lamar.
Because Lamar's had 4 between his 2 MVP seasons. No, he didn't win MVP last year, which was a joke. Between his first MVP season and last year, his 2 30-point seasons. When you Acer stat it to benefit him and take out his injured games, he's usually around 24 fantasy points, 24 to 25. And that is great. But Josh Allen is better than that every single year. Josh Allen's usually 27 or more. Lamar Jackson has just had way too much variance. So his highs are higher than Josh Allen's. Allen is more consistent. That's why he's my QB1.
Gotcha.
All right. So those are some auction tips for you. And can we just say real quick, does everybody agree that it's beneficial to have money late?
Yes, you want to have money late, but just make sure that you have everything mapped out, because there are times where you have money late and there's no players left to spend on. So you have to understand like where the prices are going, because if you get that, you end up with money after your auction. And
I never feel that way. I never feel like
that does happen to people
to spend. I mean, in a deep league, maybe, but in a 12-team
there
league,
are so many times I see at the end of auctions, players who should not be spent on getting spent $4, $5, $6 extra on because there's no money.
There was, I remember one of our auctions last year. I don't know if it was our mock or the one we played out. I spent my last $8 because Evan
I wrote the one I wrote about last year. Yeah, I was redoing that.
There was somebody who actually left $11 of their
Singletary, I think it was.
There was somebody actually left $11 in their budget, so didn't spend $11 yesterday. Which
that was yesterday. Oh yeah. Wow, because Doozable did that with us a year before.
But it's funny you say that, Adam, because when it came down to the end of it, Dave had $4 and I had $3, and I knew we were both eyeing the same player. And it was Keon Coleman. And so we were the two with the most money left, $4 and $3. And so I put Keon Coleman up for $3 just to see if Dave was not paying attention. And of course, he spent his last $4 on him.
That does remind me of a quick tip. And I know, Adam, we have to move on. So I'll say this for those listening. If you want to talk more auction and get more tips, just reach out to me and we'll do it. But one more quick tip. At the end time of your draft, be aware of every single player's max bid. If you have a max bid of 3 or 4 and someone else has a max bid of 4, it is so vitally important for you to know that, because you need to hit 4 before they hit 4, because no one can go to 5 and the first person to 4 gets that player. So understand teams' max bid at the end of a draft so you can get to that max bid first. If it's $1, $2, you both have 4, don't bid 3, bid 4, because you're going to win the player at that price.
Okay. All right. Questions from Draftathon, questions from the emails, fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, Apple Podcasts. We only had 2 Draftathon questions, and one of them was, who were the top 5 finishers in last year's FFT Open? And I was looking for that information, and I don't know. So, Todd, I am sorry. Terrible answer to your question. Yeah, it wasn't me. I'll tell you that much. I forget who of the CBS crew, the managers, made it to the championship round, but I did not. Okay. Yeah, I drafted way too much Travis Etienne last year. Definitely did in the FFT Open. The second question is from Billy Bob. Billy Bob is from a town in West Texas, and he says, I wanted to see if you had looked into the coaching styles, statistics for tight ends in relation to the coaching styles for certain head coaches. Specifically, I'm interested in Brock Bowers under Chip Kelly and Evan Ingram under Sean Payton. And he wants to know, he came up, he had all the info on Zach Ertz and Jimmy Graham and all that. Chip Kelly does have a history of throwing to the tight end. He also has a history of using multiple tight ends. Sean Payton had Jimmy Graham. He had Jeremy Shockey before that, but then he had Jimmy Graham, who led the team in targets for 4 straight seasons from 2011, 2014. Then he had Ben Watson, who had 109 targets in 2015. And that was pretty much it. So I'll just start this off and say my personal philosophy is there are some things like Sean Payton, for example, throwing to running backs. That I think you can take to the bank. The rest of it to me is personnel driven. I don't think you can look at what Jimmy Graham did and say that Sean Payton is like a tight end guy. I do think he wants to be. He's always seemed to want an upgrade there, and he could never really get it. But if you don't have to write, what'd you say?
Kobe Fleener.
Yeah. Kobe Fleener had 82 targets in 16 games in 2016. That's not bad. But we couldn't do it with Adam Troutman, that stuff like that. So you got to have the right player. I think he wants to use the tight end, and I think he will use him. But Jamey, where are you on this kind of specifically with tight ends? Any coaches that come to mind?
I always look for, so Arthur Smith, for example, pro and con. He started as a tight end coach before he was the offense coordinator in Tennessee. And then he goes and gets Kyle Pitts, and then he decides he wants to turn Jonnu Smith into the better tight end on the Falcons for some reason. So it works out both ways sometimes. Like there was one other guy that was an offensive coordinator that was a tight ends coach previously where it was great. I'll look for it. I'll have that on Friday. I think exactly what you said, though, applies for both situations. Sean Payton and the Broncos went out and got Evan Ingram. He wants a playmaking tight end.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll don't walk into the Las Vegas Raiders and say, we're going to make Brock Bowers something that he's not. They're going to find ways to maximize his potential. Now, this could come at a fault where they're using him too much as a wide receiver because his receiving skills are so good and taking away some mismatches, which has kind of been the fault with Kyle Pitts in some cases, like trying to put him out wide and make him beat up corners as opposed to, outrunning linebackers and safeties. So we'll see if that sort of plays itself out. I don't think so, but it could.
Do you worry that they're going to use Michael Mayer the way they used to use like Garrett Selleck in?
I think yes, of course, because they're whenever these teams have the ability to find a blocking tight end, they're going to run 12 personnel. They're going to use these guys to be essentially an offensive lineman. It's why Washington for the Steelers should just become a tackle at this point already. If you can block at that position and still catch the ball, George Kittle is the best example of this by far. But if you can seal an edge, if you can, pancake a guy, like these guys are valuable assets and then still be threats when they can, do a chip block and then get into the end zone and catch a touchdown too. So yes, there's going to be a little bit of a problem for those type of players. But I still think, again, you don't take a generational talent of Brock Bowers and not use him to maximize his potential. You don't bring in Evan Ingram to not maximize his potential. Will it play itself out? I think you said it best, Adam. He got Jimmy Graham and all of a sudden he's a tight ends coach. Well, why wasn't he a tight ends coach with Adam Troutman?
Yeah, exactly. He tried with Shockey. I do think Sean Payton, I think he's a valuable player in his offense. What do they call it? The Joker role. The guy that can.
But that doesn't necessarily have to be a tight end all the time.
It doesn't have to, but there's speculation is that Evan Ingram is going to be that guy. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I haven't drafted him because I liked him a lot more. But now I think I don't know why, for whatever reason, I haven't drafted Evan Ingram. All right, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna read your emails. Got a great question about Josh Jacobs to start. And taking both Puka and Devontae Adams and things like that. We'll be right back on FFT.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, question here from Austin. Subject line, what'd you say?
Nah, I just did a quick Austin. What's up?
All right. Hey, man, my man. By the way, I was at dinner tonight. Bernie Williams was at the restaurant.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Who was?
Bernie Williams.
Wow. Did you say hello?
No, I didn't. I was telling a story, and he walked right by our table, and I was telling the story. I'm like, yeah, so anyway, I was playing tennis against this loser. And that's Bernie Williams right there. I just continued the story.
You look like the type of guy who'd be too scared to say anything anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But
I don't do it either because I don't want to bother them. So it's not being scared, though.
For you, it's being polite. For me, it's being scared. I get it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the listeners would agree with it.
I don't get the lack of appeal for Josh Jacobs. Dave and Jamey said the 1-2 turn is too early. Well, I took Jacobs at the 1-2 turn. Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs. I passed on Achane. So many red flags are popping up there. I just feel like Jacobs checks all the boxes, and people aren't pumped for this guy. He's the third down back, the goal line back, and catches passes. I will step in and say he's not exactly the third down back here. At least he wasn't last year. They didn't really have a designated third down back.
Right.
So anyway, Austin says that we and basically everyone, except for CBS ADP, by the way, is too low on Josh Jacobs. Dan, your thoughts?
I think he's right. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I would take him at the 1-2 turn. There are plenty of players I prefer over him there, but I have him over Achane. I have him over a few players that maybe consensus-wise, he'd be ranked below. Now, the reason why I think he's not being picked at the 1-2 turn is because, one, it does sort of feel like he ran hot last year in the sense of Jordan Love was injured, playing hurt, and that passing game fell apart. So they leaned on the run game. This year, should Jordan Love regain the form that he had 2 years ago, especially in that second half of the 2023 season, with added weapons on the field, Matthew Golden among them, will the running game take a step back? It's possible. I mean, I still think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I still think Marshawn Lloyd is like not a good, I never liked his tape, and I'm not a fan of his, so I don't really know. I mean, Emmanuel Wilson, they have some depth, I guess, behind that, and he's injured again, Lloyd. So there's no real competition. It's just a combination in my mind of, one, did he run too hot last year, and will they be more pass heavy? And two, he's not an explosive runner. At least it hasn't been recently. So you're not getting those James Cook long touchdowns or the Jonathan Taylor long touchdowns.
I think it's the fact that he's not considered a sexy pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said why he's not getting picked there. Dan, our ADP suggests that he is, which is surprising. So I just did that story of, what's the bust case for all the first round picks. And so he's in that story because he's the 12th pick in our average draft position. So you mentioned you have him over Achane. If Achane's not practicing at some point this weekend, I'm sorry, if he's not back at practice after the preseason game this weekend in a day or two, then I'm going to move Jacobs ahead of him. And it might make more sense if you're just playing it safe to take Jacobs ahead of him. He is as steady a running back as you will find. He had the one bad season in Las Vegas or Oakland. They may have still been. I don't remember when they made the move with the Raiders, where he held out and was not the same guy. He is a candidate for 50 catches. He is a candidate for, he's averaged 45 catches in his last 4 seasons. So he's a candidate for 50 catches, which would be a high end, but 35 to 50 catches, he'll be somewhere in that range, depending, which could help if Jordan Love is healthy. I don't think Jordan Love being healthy is such a hindrance to him because the offense will move and operate better. And so there might be even more touchdown potential for him, if you could believe that. But he's just safe. And we had this conversation briefly about our IDP league where Jake Seeley took Kyron Williams at the 12th, 13th, the 1-2 turn. If you believe in Josh Jacobs, you're not getting him.
True.
You have to take him there. So if you are like, I want the safety of him versus Taylor versus Chase Brown versus Irving versus Kyron, and don't love those receivers there, which now we're seeing basically past neighbors, is Puka with a quarterback with a back injury, Brian Thomas, the wild card of, Travis Hunter. I would take Nico over him 10 out of 10, but you might be able to take both those guys. But in any event, you get the point. He's just safe. And when I say safe, top 5 safe. Like he's got that upside.
Yeah, 6th per game last year, and 37 catches last year in 17 games, but 36 catches, pardon me. He left one game after week 18. He played 31% of the snaps, but if they throw more, he's going to catch the ball more. So he'll have fewer carries, but he'll have more catches. And he did catch a touchdown last year for the first time in his career. All right, that's Josh Jacobs. Next question is from Charles. If I take Puka in round 2, how much would that affect your taking Devontae Adams in round 4? He doesn't always last. He's more like a round 3 guy for us, Devontae Adams. How many wide receivers?
He's not for everybody else.
You think he's around 4? Is that his ADP?
He falls around for you. I just did a draft on Sleeper for Michael Fabiano of Sports Illustrated. I got Adams at the 4-5 turn.
4-5. Oh, okay. Because of the Stafford stuff.
Well, I was picking one, so he came back.
Okay. All right. But anyway, it's a quick question, Jamey. If you draft Puka, are you taking Adams off your board?
I will. I mean, it would have to be like I hate everybody else on the board. I like you tell me I get Jamar Chase round 1 and T Higgins falls to round 4. I'm doing that 10 out of 10. You tell me I take Puka in round 2 and Devontae Adams is there and it's him and Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill. I'm pivoting to one of the other older receivers.
Right. All right. This is from Josh. Dear Bo, Justin, Marcus, and Joey.
Say it again.
Bo, Justin, Marcus, and Joey. And Bo and Marcus are not backfield mates.
They're not.
No, that would have thrown me off.
Is it pop culture or sports?
It's sports.
Bo, Marcus, Justin, and who?
Joey. 3 of them are in the NFL now.
Quarterbacks from the Oregon.
Yep. Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Marcus Mariota, Joey Harrington.
Yep.
I need to know what to do about Travis Hunter. I'm in a 12-team half PPR league. He is eligible to start at both wide receiver and cornerback. How high does that push his draft value in a league where we only start one IDP?
Round 2.
I could make the case for round 1.
I don't think I do that. I do think the injury risk is pretty
unicorn play. Well, yeah, and he's already hurt. That's probably
he's going to play both ways. But yeah, I mean, if you can start him at cornerback, man,
that's what I'm saying. Like, he's
right,
just a cheat code.
So, like after Drake London, or
where did where did he go
top.
in the IDP? I didn't get a chance to read fully through the IDP mock and see the results.
You can't use him there. In that league.
Yeah. Plus, we start like 10 IDPs in that league. This is just one. All right. Question from Mark. How many rookies?
9. Get it right. 9.
9 IDPs. 10 bench spots. From Mark. How many rookies on a roster is too many? In my mock drafts, 3 receivers and a flex, 12-team PPR. I like to go Nico and Drake London, and then I might make my next 5 picks rookies. Hampton, Henderson, Teteroa McMillan, Harvey, Abuka in rounds 3 through 7, and then maybe take either Warren or Loveland as a late tight end. Dan, is that too many rookies?
You're asking the wrong guy. I end up drafting way too many rookies. I had this conversation with Jake today on Beyond the Box Score. Like, I think in general, because we spend so much time studying the tape of these college players, we feel like we give ourselves an edge on these college players, looking at the data and the tape, and that will be a blind spot in my analysis. And I told him it's probably a blind spot in both of our analysis because we're let's think a better way to say this. I'm oversaturated with data on those players versus other players that have just been in the NFL. And I haven't watched as much of their recent tape for that reason. So I think there is a point where we do overdo it. I personally am off Travion Henderson. I won't be drafting him at all. I've seen where he's going in auctions and where he's going in snakes, and it's just not a price point. I think it's close to his ceiling. And if that happens for Harvey, he'll be the same thing. I'll get off that. I feel like with Teteroa McMillan, that's starting to be the case. Like, he was for a while in our draft 6-7 round ADP. Now he's shooting up to 5. I saw him go off the 4th round of a draft we did. So once they get to that point, I think where I start to see their ceiling come into play, I'm off of those players.
Last year, you could have won your league. So don't go into it with this mindset, but you could have won your league with an all rookie lineup.
But you could have also lost, right? If you missed, like if you took Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, no.
round 2,
I'm not saying specific players. You would have had to nail these exact players. You would have had to have Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy at running back.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas, and Malik Neighbors at receiver. Brock Bowers at tight end. You want to say Harrison's the flex? It could be.
No, I mean, you wouldn't.
Jalen McMillan. You could have found some, but I forget who the other guy is. But because of the tight end and quarterback, you have to nail those positions to be perfect as a all rookie team. I do think that there is a chance to clearly be a little bit too rookie heavy, but again, like, there's so many options here. Like, I want to have on my bench one of, if not all of them, Jaden Blue, Bashal Tutin, and Ollie Gordon now. Like, I want to be invested in those guys. I want to be invested, if I can, in Luther Burden as a bench receiver. I obviously want to be in on Emeka Abuka as a potential third receiver. I want to be in on Ted McMillan at the right price. I want to be in on Travis Hunter at the right price. I certainly want to be in on Triple H at the right price. So can you have too many rookies? Sure. I mean, I just gave you a salary cap draft where my starting running backs are Genty and Hampton. Like, it's clearly the 2 best running backs, but they're unproven. And again, going back to that story that I referenced, what did we see from the last 2 high-profile rookies that were the first ones taken in fantasy leagues? Bijan Robinson and Marvin Harrison failed.
Right.
They were awful. Or not awful. They were bad in their rookie seasons by comparison to what their profiles were.
Do you want me to go through the round 2 rookies in the last 5 years, the guys who were drafted in round 2 in the NFL draft, where they finished? So we had 5 of them in 2020. We had DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, and A.J. Dillon. Swift was drafted. Swift crushed his ADP. Taylor crushed his ADP. Remember, Taylor was Marlon Mack, got hurt in week 1.
Yep.
Taylor took the job and ran with it. Cam Akers was horrible compared to his ADP. J.K. Dobbins basically was even. And A.J. Dillon barely played 9 games. He wasn't drafted early. He was drafted as RB 54. None of these guys were drafted as top 20 running backs, by the way. The earliest was Taylor at RB21. So I'd say you have very mixed results, like kind of 2, 2, and 1. Javonte Williams, that's the guy I couldn't think of. I knew there were a couple of players that couldn't shake the veteran in their backfield, and Javonte was one of them. He played one game without, was it Gordon?
33 PPR points.
He crushed it, but he was really kind of disappointing. He was drafted as RB25, and he did finish as RB17. He finished as RB26 per game. So he basically met his ADP, but it was really frustrating. We were waiting, and it never happened. And Melvin Gordon was another guy when he was a rookie that didn't get the work that we were hoping. But, so that's like Javonte's a cautionary tale. Breece Hall was okay. He tore his ACL, but he was incredible. The first 4 games. He was incredible. Ken Walker was drafted as RB16, and he finished as RB18, and he finished as RB17 per game. That was a guy that had to wait for Rashad Penny to, of course, get hurt. But before Penny got hurt, Ken Walker was useless. Before David Montgomery got hurt, Jahmyr Gibbs was a bust.
No.
Sure.
Yes.
He was a bust to begin that season. 100% he was a bust to begin before.
Yes. Third-round pick. And everything.
100%.
He's not even on this list because he was a first-round pick in the NFL draft. I'm just looking at second-round picks in the NFL draft. James Cook, RB27 in ADP. Did not even finish as a top 50 running back per game. Yeah. Never really got his chance. Zach Charbonnet. We didn't really think. He wasn't being drafted. We knew it was a bad situation. Second-round picks, Jonathan Brooks, different situation. And then this year it's Judkins, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey. There are a lot of cautionary tales. This year feels different. The situations feel better for some of these guys.
The same was
And this rookie draft class is awesome. So I don't think that's too many rookies personally. I think you picked the right ones, and they're not all going to hit. But listen, you're not going to hit on all 6 of your first 6 picks, regardless of who you pick, veterans or rookies. So I'm cool with it, man. I'm all in.
Look, I'm pro rookies too, especially back end of your bench. That's where I really think you can overinflate them.
All right, next question. Oh man, I got like 6 documents open here. Let's see if this is a fun one from Will. Me and my league mate have a side bet on whose top 4 receivers in Dynasty will score the most points. So Team A and Team B, who do you like better? Team A has Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Teteroa McMillan, and George Pickens. Pretty good. London, St. Brown. He said McMillan. I'm assuming that's Teteroa and Pickens. Team 2 is Puka, Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, and Golden.
I like them both. I give the slight edge to A.
No.
I give the slight edge to B.
B, man. B's got Puka, BTJ, and McConkey.
So for the first 2, I'm just giving it a wash. It was London and who?
St. Brown.
Yeah, London and St. Brown, Puka, and who was the first?
That is not a wash to me, really. London and St. Brown.
BTJ and Puka versus London and St. Brown.
Assuming Stafford stays healthy, I mean, I definitely prefer. Like, I have Puka and Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of both London and St. Brown.
Yeah, but that's a wash.
Just health.
That's close enough to watch.
On a wash, it's fine.
And then I think that you gain a lot. I'm super high on Pickens, so that's probably why I like that team more. It was Pickens and who?
McConkey.
No.
Pickens on you're saying the third receiver.
Teteroa McMillan.
Yeah, very high on McMillan too. I just feel like you're getting McConkey's not going to be outscored those 2 by as much as they're going to outscore Golden by.
All right,
I guess it depends on how you value Golden. Like I don't think Golden should outperform Tet
McMillan. Yeah,
but it would not shock me if he does.
That's fair.
All right,
We're
last
just
email.
on rookies.
Sorry to Vinny, I didn't get to your question, but
just answer me. Read it.
This is from this is a 5-minute answer. This is from someone with no name.
Where to go?
Yeah, I got to get these episodes a little shorter here. And I don't want to hear anything about tennis. I didn't mention any of that stuff today. Remember we asked, who's a wide receiver, a highly touted wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. that had a pretty disappointing rookie season? I couldn't think of anyone.
Sammy Watkins.
Calvin Johnson. 48 catches, 756 yards, 4 touchdowns. He played nearly a full season. And then he became Megatron after that. And I wish I had ADP data from 2008. I think his rookie year was 2007. I'd love to know what happened there. All right, fine. Jamey, you want to answer this question in 30 seconds? This one's from Vinny. What do you okay, so why are we ranking Jonathan Taylor as a top 12 running back in PPR? If you look at his numbers from weeks 1 through 15, he scored 6 total touchdowns and rushed for 911 yards, and he missed 3 games. Final 3 games, he rushed for 520 yards and 6 touchdowns. Joe Flacco started 2 of them. It's actually a good point we don't bring up enough. He was having a pretty disappointing season until they gave him 30 carries a game down the stretch, which obviously we can't expect. So how confident are you in Jonathan Taylor, and why?
His numbers in the passing game were much better with Joe Flacco. I expect that to be the case with Daniel Jones. I still think he's going to dominate touches despite the addition of DJ Giddens. A little bit concerned about the offensive line because they're going through some changes, but I think they have an opportunity here to be a much better ball control offense and keep the ball a lot longer with Daniel Jones than they would have with Richardson, who has just a lot of wild, highs and lows of, not sustaining drives, most importantly. So Taylor's going to get every opportunity to carry the ball and may lead the NFL in carries. So if you're in leagues with point per carry, first down, all those things, like there's an opportunity here for Jonathan Taylor to potentially crush his ADP. Could be a top 5 overall pick. So I love him in round 2.
And how do you rank that 5 running back tier of Jacobs, Taylor, Bucky, Chase Brown, Kyron?
Love all of them in round 2. For me, Jacobs is 1 because I think his high-end potential is just as good as anybody, but the floor is the safest. I have Chase Brown 2nd, Bucky 3rd, Taylor 4th, but they're back-to-back-to-back. I think if the 2 second-year or the 2 second-year starters hit in Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, they're going to be better than maybe 3 or 4 guys in front of them. There's that much upside. So I take the upside play of Chase Brown, the upside play of Bucky, but perfectly happy to take Taylor there. And then Kyron's not a distant 5th, but he's slightly behind those guys. So I like the other 4 a little bit better.
Oh yeah. Fantasy Cops. This one is from Mike from Long Island. Dear Cadillac, LeGarrette, and Warwick.
All Bucks running backs.
I'm going to put Alstott in there. Come on.
Yeah, come on now. I'm in a 14-team high-stakes fantasy football league that drafts in person. Last year was my first year in the league, and I brought my computer along with printed rankings reports to help guide me through the draft. I subscribe to a well-known fantasy football service that plugs into the draft and suggests players to select based on who's available, team needs, etc. The draft is done offline. We add names to a draft board, but players are added to team rosters in Yahoo by the commissioner in real time, which was recognized by the program to provide future recommendations. Some of the league members thought this gave me an unfair advantage. They voted and they passed a ban on the draft assist technology. What do you consider draft assist technology, and what's your take overall on this?
Interesting.
I would say if it's a tough one because you're spending your own money to give yourself an edge. But obviously everybody else is not doing this. And the idea of doing it in person is to make this a fun, enjoyable experience, not watch you sitting over there on your computer going through a program.
Do you know the? I'm honestly very.
I've heard of these a lot, and it's funny because I have a friend that just likes to bust my balls all the time, and he's like, this guy has his program that he always wants to play in a league with you because he thinks his program is going to beat you. I'm like, cool, do it. Let's fine. I'm sorry, I know I said a bad word. But I think if you're going to do it in person, do what everybody else is doing, have fun.
Yeah,
I have no problem with it though.
I don't have a problem with it, but it's like if everybody's going there to be in person, it's to not sit there and stare at a screen. This is supposed to be fun. I get it. There's monetary stuff involved. You want to win. You're competitive. I'm as competitive as anybody will ever meet.
But you wouldn't ban this.
I would not ban it. No, yeah. I think that's ridiculous. I would say though, it's maybe he should just do all your homework and your research beforehand, and then bring the papers with you. Don't rely on something to give yourself that much of an edge. It's not. If these are your friends, you want to beat them because you know better, not because you had to add something to it.
It's interesting. My friends always make fun of me in my home league because I just show up to my draft with my printed tiers and that's it. And I just trust my own rankings. We do this all year for research. These guys have programs and everything going on. And it's just, it depends how you want to play the draft and how confident you are in your own takes, because if he's using a program like he is there, I don't know if I necessarily see anything wrong with that. It's essentially just it's like using your tiers, Jamie. It's not that much different than that if he was just going to go straight by your tiers.
But it's giving him
Not
real
really.
time
Yeah.
scenarios that are going to help. Listen, everybody plays
I
this
see what
game
you're
for
saying
different
based on
reasons.
how the draft is going. Okay.
Everybody plays this for different reasons. Again, comments and you're like, if money's on the line, I'm playing to win. What Johnny just, posted. I
Play
get
to
that.
win.
I get that.
Yeah.
Like you want your money to make something, and that's why you're doing this. It's fine. I don't have a problem. I don't think it should be banned, but just personally, like it'd be like if somebody said, "Hey, Adam, come to my draft with me and draft for me."
Yeah, I know. I honestly would love to go up
Right.
in some computer. I think it'd be fun. Little
You against the computer.
You probably do it more than you know.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody I draft with
Not in
does
my
that,
leagues,
but,
yeah.
Anyway, that's Fantasy Cops.
Your
Send
brother
us
calls
an
me all the
email,
time for advice.
fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, and put Fantasy Cops in the subject line. What was that joke I talked over?
Instead of your brother
Dave calls Jamie all the time for advice.
My brother does.
Well, we do know that you cheat in one league.
Who,
Big
me?
Burger?
No, Adam cheats in one league.
What
Big
league?
Burger?
You're basically a computer for somebody that you know very well.
Oh, my wife? Listen, man, if I were cheating in that league and we haven't won it one time, then I'm doing a really bad job. All right, some Apple Podcast questions here. This is from
You gotta post what Johnny just wrote. He cracks me up, man.
what did he write? This?
Yeah.
Taking my friend's money is the funnest part of fantasy. I take pictures of me spending all the winnings into the league chat. That's good. You're probably a fun guy to play fantasy with, Johnny. All right. So the question is from Cab Fan. A few buddies and I are checking out a guillotine league for the first time. Was curious if you guys were going to do a pod or a long segment dedicated to it. No, I don't think so. But
I'm doing my first one tomorrow night, as a matter of fact.
all right. So give me 30 seconds.
I did really like your take, though, on Rasheed Rice, Jamie, a couple episodes ago. And I was,
you know what, Dave, for what it's worth, Dave actually admitted in the YouTube comments that he was wrong about his Rasheed Rice take. So he just missed that. But just give me 30 seconds on how to draft a guillotine league.
You want to sort of live in the middle for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. You want to take players that have a very safe floor with the chance to have upside, not necessarily huge downside. So I was just talking to a friend of mine that's in this league with me doing the draft tomorrow. And the comparison I gave him was, I would rather have Cortland Sutton than George Pickens. I think Cortland Sutton is going to be as steady as they come with plenty of upside versus maybe the volatility of what George Pickens, the spike weeks versus some of the down weeks. I don't know if that's the best comparison. Jameson Williams, maybe similar type of player.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing really is if you survive the first couple of weeks, how you manage your budget, because everybody, once they lose, all of their players go on to waivers. So Saquon Barkley, the Saquon Barkley manager, the Christian McCaffrey manager, the Ashton Genty manager, they may lose in the first week because of a bad matchup or just bad performance across the board with their team. And now you are faced with, in week 2, a first round pick available to you with $1,000 budget, $100 budget, whatever the case may be. You may get that player and that may still have money to spend later on. But I would like to try and save as much money to the end. I've been in this now. I think I've done like 5 years worth of guillotine leagues, 4 or 5 years. Been in the final 4 twice. And both times I've lost because I've gone up against somebody with more money. And so my all-star team was not as good in comparison to that all-star team. And it's just the way it works. So if you can be, if you could have the most money, the biggest pot at the end of the season, you're going to be in great shape. So don't, unless you have to fill a need, like, you don't have to win every week. Unless there's a bonus for it or prize for it, like, stay in the middle.
Okay. Next Apple Podcast question.
But you obviously want players that are going to get you off to a good start. Jerome Ford, for example, one of my big targets for guillotine leagues because of how week 1 Bengals, no Quinshon Judkins. He could be fantastic to just give you at least 1 week, and he's going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Next question is from Alec. I have the number 1 overall pick in our draft. It's a keeper league. It's a 10-team league. And after all the keepers, the 3 best players available are going to be A.J. Brown, Josh Jacobs, and Trey McBride. Who do you suggest taking? It's a 10-team league.
How is Ashton Genty not available?
There was a rookie draft because he has RJ Harvey. So he has Jefferson, Neighbors, Chase Brown, Josh Allen, RJ Harvey, and Braylon Allen. He has a great core.
Is it
So what are the three
is
players
it
available again?
AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, and Trey McBride.
PPR league?
Yeah.
It is
What's
full
his roster
PPR.
again?
I don't know.
Okay. And if it's PPR, I'll go AJ Brown. If it's not PPR, no, I'm going AJ Brown regardless for me.
What is his roster again? I'm sorry.
He's got Jefferson, Neighbors, Chase Brown, Josh Allen, Braylon Allen, RJ Harvey.
Like he already has 2 injured receivers. And they're gonna hopefully be
Going
fine.
Josh Jacobs. And the question that he had basically was, should I focus on the onesie position and Trey McBride in a 10-team league? But I'm not going, this is about 6 picks difference between Jacobs and Trey McBride. I know I want to get the onesie positions in the 10-team league. I'm not willing to go that much, 6 picks or so. I'm not willing to go that much off the board to get the onesie position personally.
Yeah, I would take Jacobs.
All right. But that was a good question. 10-team PPR keeper league. I'm keeping Achane in the 9th. I'm picking 8th overall. Which 2 players would you start your team with between Nico, AJ Brown, Neighbors, London, Brian Thomas Jr., McCaffrey, Henry, Genty?
Wow. The 2 highest ranked for me would be Nico and McCaffrey. And you're starting with Achane, and that's it?
Yeah. If obviously if you can keep player for another year, you definitely want to go Genty over McCaffrey. But yeah, Nico, I guess.
McCaffrey and Nico for me. They're both top 6 ranked overall players for me. So
yeah, unless there's keeper implications, it would be McCaffrey, Nico, Neighbors, Genty. If there's keepers, it would be Genty, Neighbors, Nico, McCaffrey. Almost reverse.
And question from TD Hodge. I plan on taking a quarterback late in my upcoming draft. Which late round quarterback can still win me a championship?
Drake May is definitely the first one that comes to mind.
Yep. Drake May, Jordan Love, Trevor
JJ
Lawrence.
McCarthy is an interesting one for just going for pure upside.
Yep. Dan, you were talking about CJ Stroud, so if you believe in him.
I like Stroud. I think Stroud's more of a small win, though. If he's looking for like the breakout win your league, I'd be more, May and McCarthy.
That's how I feel about Jordan Love, too. I don't put
small
him in.
win. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got to get a guy who's going to be on an offense that's going to really throw the ball a lot.
Yes.
Or he's going to really run the ball a lot. Caleb Williams?
I don't
Potential.
think so. Possible, though.
I think the nice thing about it, though, is you try to get 2 of these guys.
I got 3 minutes left for YouTube. YouTube, let's go. Interesting. Look at this. FFT Open. I don't know which league this guy's in, RB, but he said Bowers, Kittle, and McBride all went in round 2 ahead of Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
And that's a 2 receiver leagues with 1 flex. That's pretty interesting.
Mine's done, by the way.
Oh, yours is done?
Mine's still rolling.
Cool, man.
Bowers, McBride, and Kittle went in round 3.
Question from Jonah. I have Tyreek in a keeper league. You can keep up to 5 players at the cost of your first 5 picks. I can keep Tyreek for a 5th. Would you drop him and grab Ibuka or Golden instead? 14-team half PPR.
So if you are trying to win now, I would keep Tyreek. If you have the ability to drop him and keep Ibuka for next year, I would drop Tyreek and take Ibuka and factor in the keeper this year.
Yeah.
All right. Question from Tony the Shrimp. If you already have Sutton on your roster, Tony the Shrimp, not great cereal, by the way.
What's that?
Tony the Tiger.
That is your worst joke ever.
Is that a joke?
Yeah.
What happened there? It's too
You
late.
even get it. You never even had Frosted Flakes.
I've had every single human being in the history of the world has had frosted.
What's in your
Flakes
fridge right now? Go
in
open
their
it. I
life.
want to see what's in your fridge.
We're not doing that. What's in the fridge thing again? It's better though. I have some other stuff. I have some real food this time. I was too embarrassed from the last one. We're not doing that ever again though. But
if you already had Sutton on your roster, would you hesitate to draft RJ?
I can't believe that's 0 and 0.
why? It looks like a 0 back, does it not?
Well, none of you said it.
Not really. It looks like a starfish.
All right, I'll figure that out for the next show. Okay.
If you already have Sutton on your roster,
I didn't have time to fix my magnet because I was too busy listening to Adam for 5 minutes.
Would you hesitate to draft RJ Harvey
Didn't have
over
time to fix my magnets.
someone in a similar range like Tony Pollard? I personally would not.
I would take Harvey.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. I had you muted. You're back now. Wait, you keep hitting it. I keep hitting
No,
it.
I'm not hitting anything. You have muted me. I should have muted you during your Tarantino rant.
That was off the air.
Still happened.
Keep Neighbors in the 6th
Still
or
had to listen.
Neighbors in the 6th or JSN in the 10th?
Neighbors in the 6th.
The value's better for JSN, but I would keep Neighbors.
Good joke, Adam. Thank you. It was a good joke.
That would just be nice to him. That was a terrible joke.
Adam, could give your thoughts.
I never realized that bad guy,
all
RIRI, is Dave's in the snug.
Yeah, it's so funny. Lou says, can you talk me off the ledge drafting Jaden Daniels and him not being CJ Stroud 2.0?
His rushing will
He runs. Yeah.
keep him at a much higher floor.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a valid question because Anthony Richardson was horrible too. But Daniels, yeah, I don't know. He just feels different. CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. That was really surprising. Not that he was a bust necessarily, but that he was that bad. Really fell apart.
Not that he was a bust. He was a huge bust. He was a top 5.
No, it wasn't surprising that he was a bust because he doesn't run that much. I liked him, but to the degree of which he was a bust, I think was stunning to me.
Can you do me a favor? The question from RB there about Zacchaeus. We don't talk about this now, but I think it's worth talking about going into the weekend. Some of these veteran guys that are going to be problems for potential players, like Chris Rodriguez and Zacchaeus and some of these guys that we don't talk enough about.
Yeah. Right. Chris Rodriguez is going to have a role. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the Friday show. Which
that's me. Yeah.
All right. We got to go. We got to go. Thank you all for watching and listening, and appreciate all your comments and your questions and being a part of the show.
Is your roommate a Giants fan?
He is not.
So wait. This is a shared refrigerator, right?
Yes.
Did you just bully him and say I'm putting all the magnets up, or did you give him an option?
Wisconsin Giants? You got all the magnets on the fridge.
Don't you understand that last week everyone was giving me crap on the show? No magnets on the fridge, so I had to fast order some magnets to the house. Okay, I'm picking the things I'm interested in. Okay, that he can put up whatever he wants in his own time if he cares. He clearly doesn't care about what's going on his refrigerator.
What team?
No one does. I didn't care either until I got bullied into it.
What team does he root for?
I don't even know who he roots for.
This is you guys are buds. All right,
we're not great buds.
All right, we'll talk to y'all sometime soon on Fantasy Football Today. See you later.